At the middle of the 19th century, the political and military events that took place in Japan and Mexico began to follow similar paths, given the external pressures and internal instabilities of each one. At the end of these parallel paths, appeared the goal of being a modern nation-state, capable of joining the international order. So at some point, both nations had to meet. In 1888, they agreed to a treaty of friendship, navigation, and commerce, the first of its kind signed by Japan, on equal terms. One of the consequences of that agreement was the migratory flow from Japan to Mexico, inaugurated in 1897 by those migrants, sent by Viscount Enomoto, to the state of Chiapas in Mexico. At the turn of the century, the Japanese would begin landing by thousands in Mexican ports. A few of those natives of the country of the rising sun would pass through Guadalajara. From the beginning of the 19th century, there was external pressure on Japan to open its borders to international trade. First, it was the Russians, then the British, then a first request from the United States in 1837. The Netherlands was the only European nation with which Japan had maintained commercial contact for almost 250 years. In 1844, the shogun received a letter from the Dutch King William II, in which he warned the Japanese government that times in the world had changed. That it was time to end the isolation policy, or the consequences for the Japanese could be serious. But the shogunal government turned a deaf ear. It had to be the menacing warships of the United States, which gave meaning to the words written by that European monarch. The official envoy of the American nation, Matthew C. Perry, delivered to the shogun the request to open the Japanese coasts to the American ships. A year later, in 1854, the Commodore returned with 9 warships for an answer. The Bakufu, or shogunal government, had no choice but to give in to the pressure of a military force, which it could not face. Immediately, other maritime powers took advantage of the gap opened by the Americans. Thus made Russia and Great Britain also obtained access to the Japanese coasts. By 1858, unequal treaties would be signed. Between July and October of that year, Japan sealed an unequal relationship with the United States, the Netherlands, Russia, Great Britain, and France. However, Japanese pride had been provoked.